In the glittering, high-decibel world of the American music industry, talent is an illusion you can buy, but fame is a drug you can never get enough of. To the millions of screaming fans at Madison Square Garden, Victoria was a goddess. She was the undisputed queen of pop, possessing a voice so flawless, so angelic, that it brought grown men to tears. Beside her stood Damien, the billionaire record producer who owned the industry. They were the ultimate celebrity power couple, completely untouchable, living a life of private jets, penthouse suites, and absolute luxury. But Victoria's flawless voice was a billion-dollar lie, and her perfect relationship was built on the ruins of a broken man. Somewhere in the shadows of the arena, sitting in a VIP seat he paid for with his last savings, was Julian. He wasn't a celebrity, he was a master acoustic physicist. He was also Victoria's husband, or at least he used to be. Julian was the true genius who had engineered her entire career. He had invented the siren call, a revolutionary, real-time vocal processing algorithm. Sure the whole world hears your silence. The deception started 3 years earlier in a soundproof basement studio in Brooklyn. Victoria was a struggling lounge singer. She had the looks of a superstar, but her voice was flat, weak, and constantly off-key. Julian, deeply in love and desperate to see his wife succeed, spent 4 years coding the impossible. The siren call wasn't just auto-tune. It was a predictive acoustic matrix. It analyzed the vibration of Victoria's vocal cords in real time, predicted the note she was trying to hit, and instantly injected a perfect, harmonized frequency into the microphone output. When Victoria sang through Julian's microphone, she sounded like a legend. She took the tech to Damien's recording studio to pitch a demo. Damien, a ruthless billionaire producer, instantly realized the tech was worth more than the singer. But he needed both. Damien seduced Victoria with promises of Grammy Awards, global stadium tours, and a life Julian could never afford. Victoria didn't hesitate. She filed for divorce, claiming Julian was emotionally unstable. While Julian was fighting the divorce, Damien's corporate lawyers filed a massive intellectual property lawsuit, claiming the siren call was developed using Damien's studio equipment, making it the property of the record label. Julian was completely destroyed. He remembered the last time he saw his wife. She was standing in Damien's glass office, wearing designer clothes Julian couldn't buy her. "I'm sorry, Julian," Victoria had said, not looking sorry at all. "You build great toys, but Damien builds empires. The world doesn't want to see a scientist, they want to see a star. Don't take it personally." For 3 years, Victoria became the biggest pop star on the planet. Her live concerts sold out in seconds, because her voice was allegedly 100% natural and unedited. Damien built a $50 billion music monopoly around her. Julian spent those 3 years living in a tiny, noisy apartment next to a subway line. He didn't hack Damien's servers. He didn't try to sabotage the record label's computers. He just sat at his desk, surrounded by oscilloscopes and frequency generators, doing the math. Julian knew a fundamental law of acoustic physics that Damien's music executives didn't understand. Sound is just a wave of pressure moving through the air, and every wave in the universe has an exact opposite. He wasn't waiting for a court date to get his revenge. He was waiting for the live acoustics of a stadium. It is now the night of the biggest event in music history, the unplugged and raw global broadcast live from Madison Square Garden. 100 million people are watching live on streaming platforms. Victoria is standing in the center of the stage, wearing a stunning white gown, surrounded by a live acoustic orchestra. No backing tracks, no visible digital equipment, just her and the microphone. It is supposed to be the ultimate proof to the world that her voice is purely a gift from God. Damien is standing in the VIP sound booth, holding a glass of scotch, smiling as the streaming revenue numbers tick into the hundreds of millions. Down in the third row, sitting anonymously in the dark, is Julian. He is wearing a simple black jacket. Inside his jacket pocket is a small, custom-built device no larger than a smartphone, connected to a highly directional parametric emitter hidden in his sleeve. The lights go down. A single spotlight hits Victoria. The crowd of 20,000 people goes dead silent. The orchestra begins to play a soft, haunting melody. Victoria closes her eyes, lifts the microphone, and begins to sing. Through the arena speakers, her voice is breathtaking. It is flawless, rich, and emotionally devastating. The crowd is instantly mesmerized. The Siren Core algorithm, hidden inside the soundboard, is working perfectly, correcting every single flaw in her actual voice before it reaches the speakers. Julian watches his ex-wife bask in the stolen glory. He calmly reaches into his pocket. He doesn't look angry, he just looks at his watch. He presses a single button on his device. The directional emitter in his sleeve fires a highly focused ultrasonic acoustic beam directly at the main microphone array in front of Victoria. It isn't a hacking signal, it is pure physics. It is called destructive interference, or phase cancellation. Julian's device is broadcasting the exact inverted frequency of the Siren Core's digital correction wave. In physics, when a sound wave meets its exact mirror image, the two waves perfectly cancel each other out. Instantly, the billion-dollar algorithm is neutralized in mid-air. The speakers in Madison Square Garden and the live audio feed going out to 100 million people suddenly strip away the digital perfection. Victoria hits the chorus, pushing her vocal cords to the absolute limit, expecting the algorithm to make her sound like a powerhouse. But what comes out of the massive stadium speakers is a horrifying, screeching, off-key wail. Her voice cracks violently. It is flat, weak, and painfully out of tune. It sounds like a karaoke performance gone horribly wrong. The entire stadium gasps in collective shock. The orchestra hesitates, the violinists looking at each other in confusion. Victoria hears the terrible sound bouncing back from the stadium monitors. Her eyes snap open in sheer panic. She pulls the microphone away, looking at it as if it has caught fire. Up in the sound booth, Damien spills his scotch. "What is happening?" he screams at his lead audio engineer. "Turn the Siren Core back on, fix her pitch." The engineer is frantically typing on his console, sweating profusely. "It is on, sir. The software is running perfectly, but the output is being completely cancelled out by an external frequency. I can't stop it." Victoria, terrified and humiliated, tries to sing the next line softly, hoping to mask the error, but Julian's device is locked onto the microphone's frequency. Every note she sings is broadcasted raw, completely unedited, and painfully terrible. The crowd begins to murmur. Then, the murmurs turn into boos. People are pulling out their phones, recording the disaster. Twitter and global social media instantly explode. The Queen of Pop is being exposed live to the entire planet as a complete and total fraud. "Cut the mic." Damien roars into his headset, his face red with panic. "Go to commercial. Stop the broadcast." But it's a live pay-per-view global feed. There are no commercials. Victoria stands frozen in the center of the stage. The music has completely stopped. The boos are deafening. The illusion is shattered. The $50 billion empire built on her stolen voice is burning to the ground in front of her eyes. She looks out into the dark crowd, tears of absolute humiliation streaming down her face, realizing that the world finally sees her for exactly what she is: empty. In the third row, Julian slowly stands up. He looks at his ex-wife crying on the stage. He looks up at the sound booth, where Damien is smashing his equipment in a blind rage. Julian doesn't smile. He doesn't cheer. He simply reaches into his pocket, turns off his device, and slips it back inside his jacket. He turns his back on the stage. As the crowd continues to roar in anger, demanding their money back, Julian calmly walks up the aisle. He pushes open the heavy acoustic doors of Madison Square Garden and steps out into the cool, vibrant streets of New York City. He takes a deep breath of the night air, hails a yellow cab, and disappears into the city traffic, leaving his ex-wife and her billionaire lover trapped inside a nightmare of their own making.